What's up, mortals? Today we're switching things up and we're hopping off the boat from Greece and across the Nile for a little while, and we're on our way, literally not too far from Greece, but to Egypt. So grab your sunglasses, bring a treat for Amit and the Crocs, or else you'll be missing your own piece. And pay homage to the mother of Egypt, bow down to the protector of kings, welcome in our very own goddess Isis.
Yes.
And before we begin our story today and we get started with our podcast, I know we've had a bit of technical difficulties, but we are going to welcome our own Egyptian girl boss, Mena, to the stage.
Hi.
Yep.
Hi, Mena.
Yep. Hi.
Here.
So, Mena, we know you have to go, sadly, so we can't have you this entire podcast. But beforehand, we just like to ask you some questions. We're doing Egyptian mythology. We're kind of growing into this researching. But you're actually from Egypt. So we'd like to ask you a couple of questions, maybe give our viewers some insight to take with them, maybe for future podcasts.
Of course, no worries. More than happy to help.
Yeah, we're going to be in Egypt for a while. So maybe one of these times when we have more time, we get you to hop on.
Yeah, of course. I would love to.
Okay, so I guess one of my first questions would probably be, and it's kind of trivial, yes or no. Is it actually that hot in Egypt? Are Crocs
it is kind of hot in the summer. I mean, it reaches to up to 40 degrees, but it's not as hot as the country I'm staying in at the moment. So yeah, it is hot, but not that really hot. But it depends on which part of Egypt you're in. So if you are more in the northern part where I come from, the heat is not that bad. But if you come more to the southern parts, the where the ancient Egypt used to be, then it is much more hotter.
And where are you now?
I am currently living in Doha, so the place of the World Cup this year. So yeah,
nice.
Yay!
Yes, very much so. And is there a problem like crocodile?
Do you guys have croc problems?
There is crocodile issue in the southern parts of Egypt. The place, as I said, this is where the ancient Egypt used to live. They didn't live in the northern parts of the country. They lived in the southern part. So they actually, surprisingly, they live with the crocodile. They actually take crocodiles as their pets when I went there the last time. So I mean, they tried. I think they're coexisting with the crocodiles. Yes, there are issues where people were eaten by crocodiles, but I feel like it's not as big as it is. I mean, it's just a crocodile. We are.
That is crazy. I would love a pet crocodile. I wanted one.
No, you would not.
Do you have the environment for it?
You would not.
You have to have like a certain water for it, its own food, and make sure that you feed it very well, or else it's gonna bite you and drag you to the water and eat you.
There has to be a way for you to feed it, or else it would attack you because you're attached to the meat, or or you're attached to the food. Like seriously, it's a problem to have them. Like no. Melissa, you wouldn't want.
I feel like that would be fun, though. Apparently, I'm living in the
let her do it if she wants. Let her have that pet crocodile, but then she shouldn't be complaining if she missed her half of her body.
Exactly, exactly, Alyssa. Exactly. No, you wouldn't want one. This is like rich people stuff. Like no.
Oh wow, that really is. That does sound. Was it Mena? You said you saw a lot of people who took them as pets. Was it kind of like a rich kind of thing?
It's like. When I went there as a tourist, they do have like some people are able to like take these some of these people are able to take these crocodiles and they raise them since they're babies until they grow. So they have like a certain way of taking care of it. So you cannot just buy or get a pet crocodile.
I hope not.
Oh wow, that is crazy. We've got to get you to talk. I want to move on to the next question just because like. For time reasons, but like we definitely got to get you back on this podcast. I need you to definitely explain this whole crocodile.
If you want, I don't know what you really want at this point, but you cannot do that. Do not get a pet crocodile. I'm
Unless
just
It's funny,
joking.
but it will happen.
I
Oh God, let her. She wants it. It's fine.
do this and something happened to you, I'm not going to fish your feet out of the crocodile's belly, okay? I'm
All
not going to do
right. All right.
I
Okay,
won't.
moving
Next
on to our next question. Mena, are you familiar with Egyptian mythology?
Kind of, I would say 50%. I mean, like, I know, like, Ra, Isis, Osiris. I used to watch a lot of documentaries about the Egyptian mythology. I mean, but of course, it's like Isis and Osiris are like the men of the, like, one of these love stories. And also we have never Cleopatra and her beloved person from the Greece. I forgot, Antonio, yes, Antonio. um
Mark
and
Antony.
then, yeah, and I know about, like, the mummification. I know a few mythologies, but I'm not deep into them. But yeah.
So would you say they're like still an integral part of like Egypt now? Like, are they still? Because I know everybody goes to Egypt. You know, when we're tourists, we all go and we're like, we want to go to Memphis, or you know, we want to see the
Yeah,
pyramids.
everyone wants to go there. It's part of this is what makes us Egyptians in the first place. The fact of our rich historical, cultural, religious part of the world. I mean, I feel like with Egypt it's different. I mean, we have Egyptian mythology. We have like what the Greeks have. We had like a very we had a huge civilization that I think even until this day there's still a lot of discoveries found of, like, long lost cities, long lost treasures, different pyramids, different items that the old ancient Egypt used to use to keep themselves alive. So it is part of us. Unfortunately, I mean, with what's happening in the world, Egypt has gone through a lot of colonization and so many other things that we lost our touch as a country. We do not talk a lot about the Egyptian mythology, but usually when they talk, it's only for the tourists, like for you guys to come and talk about it. But it's not, and even more shockingly, I heard that they don't teach it back in schools. But now they're starting to integrate that, and because this is part of who we are, and we have recently opened a new museum in Egypt where we moved the kings and the queens mummies from the old museum to the new museum, and we made an honorable funeral for them. So you can check that out. It was last year. It was so over the top. So yeah, they even like made a song using the old ancient Egypt language. So it was really wicked.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's all I have to say about this part. So.
Okay.
That was very much. I love that. That's very enlightening, especially for those of us who, you know, especially during pandemic, we can't travel, so we can't go to Egypt and, you know, find this stuff out for ourselves. Might come visit you. I'm very interested to kind of see this.
I don't live nearby the pyramids. This area is very expensive. I live in the outer parts of Cairo, like the good decent parts of it. I don't live in the pyramids.
That's still a very nice place. I mean, it sounds nice. Cairo. That's very
Unless to visit Mena or you want a croc.
She wants
Wow,
the crocodile.
I'm going to visit her with
the crocodile. She's desperate for the crocodile.
Okay.
I'm gonna get. I think I'll definitely. Okay, I'll get the croc after I visit Mena. You know that way.
Oh my! She's desperate. She doesn't understand. She actually wants to get a pet that will kill her. Literally, she wants to die.
Get through custom. Where are you gonna go with that crock? Which suitcase are you gonna stuff it in?
I
You
didn't
live
think
in an
about
apartment.
I don't think my roommates would mind.
You know that this crocodile will eat you.
Oh,
Not
no.
if I feed it. There's plenty of wildlife around here. Georgia's very, very, very rich in wildlife.
How are you willing to take a crocodile from here to wherever you're living?
No.
Can you stop? She has now. Someone needs to snap her out of this, guys.
Don't worry, she's not gonna do it. I'll tell her mom.
Any of you guys are listening, comment below if you'd like a crocodile. I know I would.
But not. You're just saying that because we tell you you can't have one.
Probably.
So
But
our
moving-
question would be, Mena. Our next question would be, how do you feel about today's story of Isis? How do you feel about the interpretation and the storytelling of so many generations? Of course, it has changed, and there's the interpretation of it. How do you feel the story of Isis impact today?
yeah, you mentioned it was a love story, so that's very.
It's a love story. Maybe just say yes. It's always. I mean, when I'm listening to how they interpret the story, it's the foundations is there. So there are like two gods that got married, and then they have four kids, two girls, two boys. The Isis loved Osiris. They got married, and then of course the brother. His name is Net or Bet. I have some of the way of pronunciation of these words are a little bit difficult for me. So he gets really jealous, and then he tries to get rid of his brother. But then at this time, when she tried to get him back, and then they have their child Horus, and like he wants to get rid of him. So it's like the movies that we watch, and I feel like there's not a lot of like light on the Egyptian mythology. We always, unfortunately, it's mostly the Greek got so popular, but the Egyptian mythology is just as exciting as the Greek. I mean, I think the reason why people like Greek mythology a lot is it's Percy Jackson novel. Like when Rick started talking about the Greek mythology, and then he wrote about it. He did talk about 3 books for the Egyptian mythology, but it's not. I think it's not enough. Like it's our stories are very, very interesting, and the fact that our civilization is one of the civilizations that believe that um we will return back to life after we die. Like we believed in that. We had this idea that there'll be life after death. That is why all the tombs of the kings and the queens in Egypt, they have food around them, so that once they die, they return back again. So we do believe in the afterlife, and this is something a lot of the old mythologies did not have. So yeah, they're all like they some say like maybe there of course as I said the basics are there, but it's just the way like there are some theories of like it's not the brother that killed him. He died in a different way. And then of course there are other many stories of like that one of them I listened to today is her Isis was her son Horus. She was in the run, and then she had the 7 scorpions protecting her. Yes.
Yes, I actually did. I came across that. It's so funny that you mentioned that. I came across that story while I was researching for Iris.
Yeah.
And I loved that story. I was like, very interesting. We're actually gonna I know that as you probably won't be able to stay the whole time, but like you should definitely give this podcast a listen. We're actually gonna touch on that later in the podcast. But like I love all of this energy that you're giving, like all of this information, like some of the stuff I had no idea about, and I just find that very interesting.
Yes. Well, I was back then when I was a kid, I used to watch a lot of Egyptian mythology, and then we used to talk about it, and then I went into a tourist travel to where the ancient Egypts were, which are now Aswan, Luxor, Aswan, the southern part of Egypt. This is where the ancient Egypts were, and not Cairo. So we're a part of the colonizer. My ancestors are probably colonizers.
Oh,
I'm not the OGs, so I admit who I am. So,
Oof.
but that's, well, I'm not the actual Egyptians are the ones who speaks a different language than mine. And they also know how to and also they live along they live with the artifact and everything. So yeah, that's all I have to say about it.
yeah, we definitely have to have you back for to definitely dive deeper into this when we have more time. But I think we had one last question for you, and just feel free to tell us kind of, briefly, like, how, because here on Mistresses Behind the Myth, we bring up mythologies from all around the world, and we try to bring women to the forefront, because a lot of times it's his story, and we kind of just get swept off to the side as background characters. But
Yeah.
as we're going to see today, we are more than background characters. We are not at all background characters at this point. Some of us are actually just running the show, just
Exactly.
falsified as a man. So I want to ask you, growing up in Egypt, knowing the story of Isis, how do you feel as a woman about her story, about maybe even just growing up in Egypt? What is your take as a female?
I believe that Egyptian women were given more respect than nowadays. Let's just put it bluntly. There, women were treated like goddess, so they had a lot of control. They weren't even rulers of the country back then. They ruled the country, and no one stopped them. Um, Isis, I would say, her story is about determination and her love for her husband. Um, that she's willing to get him back and just get back to the Becht, so for killing him and wanting. She's a story of like courage and willing to fight back, but she doesn't fight back through war. She has a different way of showing love and care by helping out, as I said, was the story of her and the seven scorpions, when she have this when she have that woman with the child who got bitten by the scorpion. She used her magic, and then she teaches everyone. So she was very humble, and you could also see her way of wearing the costume. Like, she wore that scarf, she wore her long sleeve dress. So the fact that she is humble and being courageous, being who you are, that's what that's what that's what that's what can take you further and become the queen. You cannot force yourself to be a king or a queen. You have to make the people love you through your actions. So that's my take on the story.
I think that's an excellent
Yeah.
take. A very,
That's a
very,
great
very,
take on it.
very wonderful goddess. I love the story of Isis, because, like you said, she
Yeah.
is teaching you through humbleness, through just the kindness. She just seems like an all around amazing goddess, much cleaner than some of the goddesses. If you haven't watched, definitely take a look at our other podcasts. The gods of Greece are a mess, and let me tell you, that is why we watch it, because it is a mess. It's so
Yeah.
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
Greek built their stories and their myths for the purpose of being dramatic, for the purpose of showcasing. So
Entertainment.
yes, it's messed up, but we watch it. Now, when we got to Egyptian, we find that it is so clear cut, and that you guys have built a very beautiful woman icon in ancient Egypt, and it couldn't have been better. And that's why we're telling this story today. And with your influence, it just makes it 10 times better. We definitely need to have you back, especially. And I can't wait to hear the scorpion, because Alyssa been talking about this all day.
I love the story. It is one of my favorites.
I'd love that. I would love to join you guys, but I would prefer, like, if you have it earlier, which I totally understand because my
Yeah.
time is already late.
Yeah.
And we're now in Ramadan, so that makes it even like more difficult for me.
I don't know what you're supposed to say when you're in Ramadan. Like, is there like a greeting? If I knew it, I would say it to you. Like Happy Ramadan or something like that.
Yes, anything. It's fine. Anything is good.
Well, I hope you have. I know we're kind of like inching on that time, and we've got to actually get started on the podcast. But
Well,
thank you so much for coming.
thank you guys. I don't mind having a part 2.
Yeah.
Maybe after 2 weeks we can talk more deeper about other Egyptian mythologies, and I would love that. So
Yes, definitely.
all right,
Definitely,
thank you
Rhonda.
guys for letting me be part of this, and I'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.
See you.
Okay, that was guys. Okay, Minna has came in. She has spoke her opinion on this, and she has a wonderful fact. She clearly done her homework. She clearly knows what she's talking about, and so far we know. Yeah, go ahead.
I was saying, well, yeah. I mean, it's her home, and that's
Yeah.
that was a very good insight that she gave us. There's a lot of things that I'm like, wow, I'm gonna have to read.
Yeah. So far, it sounds like it sounds like that this character Isis is definitely a beautiful role model. Like, she is considered the mother of Egypt. She is the mother goddess of Egypt, and her icon is literally a feminist icon. She's literally this badass woman who is just kind, independent, and just a plain role model. And we're going to get into her story even further.